Good morning. Welcome to Talkline on the MetroNews Radio Network.
Do not attempt to change the station. You are surrounded.
We interrupt this program to bring you an emergency news bulletin. Repeat, this is an emergency bulletin. Keep your radio turned on.
Holy smoke.
From the studios of the West Virginia Radio Corporation and the MetroNews Radio Network, the voice of West Virginia, comes the most powerful radio show in West Virginia. This is MetroNews Talkline with Hoppy Kercheval.
Check set line up, link. Activated Telos telephone. Switch network control from Charleston to Morgantown.
Stand by. Q Hoppy. You're on.
Good morning. Welcome to Talkline on MetroNews in and around the great state. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. Hoppy Kercheval with you. J.R. Falls, our producer, Deborah Martinelli, handling the video stream. You can watch us at wvmetronews.com at the MetroNews channel. Live show today, full show today on this Friday. We're going to talk with, got a lot of sports going on today. WVU tomorrow, Marshall today. We'll get into those games. Monty Cater, the coach of Shepherd. They have a Division II game tomorrow with Indiana University of Pennsylvania. We'll talk with Coach Cater. Fred Persinger, the voice of high school sports, on the high school playoffs this weekend. And just a lot of other things. Chris Kay is going to be with us. Chris Kay is a Charleston native, went to GW. He's now at the Naval Academy, home for the holiday. And as part of a program there at the Naval Academy, not cadets, but midshipmen go back to their home state, and they speak with people about their experience, and he'll join us this morning. So a lot to do. We're going to start with the Don Blankenship trial, which is in recess until Monday, so the jury's off until Monday. Jeff Jenkins and Shauna Johnson have been covering this trial since the first day, and they join us from our Charleston studios this morning. Good morning to you both. Happy Thanksgiving. Good to have you here. Thank you.
Good morning.
Hey, Hop.
Hey, all right. Shauna, I want to talk to both of you, Shauna and Jeff, about moments in this trial that have stood out to you, that you think have been seminal moments in this trial, that not to get too far down the in the speculation realm here, but things that may have resonated with the jury because they resonated with you. Shauna, I want to start with you, and you said that one of the things that resonated with you was the redirect of Chris Blanchard, the former president of Performance Coal, which ran UBB for Don Blankenship. What about that stood out to you, and why?
Well, Chris Blanchard's Massey Mine Group was the Marfork Group. That included the Upper Big Branch Mine. So this was the man who oversaw operations. He was on the witness stand for parts of 7 days, much of that time under cross-examination from defense attorney Bill Taylor. So he took the stand first on October 22nd, and it was October 29th when cross-examination ended at about 11:30 that morning, Taylor saying, "Those are all the questions I have." And Assistant U.S. Attorney Steve Ruby stood up and started what I would consider one of just the more rapid-fire parts of this trial. For the next 25 minutes up until the lunch break, it was just question after question after question.
What was he trying to do with that rapid-fire question?
He was trying to get Blanchard, who was a prosecution witness, trying to get back hold of that prosecution witness after days under cross-examination where over and over again, and Jeff will tell you as well, Blanchard sounded like a defense witness. The defense used Blanchard to put on their case in favor of Don Blankenship. Day after day, document after document, this testimony, this cross-examination went on and on and on and on. So when Ruby had the chance to finally get back up there and start that redirect, he had to make a statement. And you saw a shift in the courtroom that day, October 29th, and he got the momentum back on his side. That's why I think it's significant and stands out to me.
Yeah, so you think that the prosecution regained control of Blanchard as a prosecution witness at that time. And previously, a lot of people who were casually following the trial have asked, well, why didn't the defense call any witnesses? But again, as you point out, that Blanchard turned into, in many ways, a defense witness the way that the defense used him.
Because Blanchard told the jury under cross-examination he did not believe he had committed any crimes. He did not believe Blankenship had committed any crimes. So that would strike at the heart of the prosecution's case. So when Ruby got up there and started firing those questions, do you know the definition of conspiracy? Do you know the definition of perjury? Things like that, one after the other after the other. And it also is significant because Taylor returned to it in his closing argument. He pointed out that question that he asked about definitions of words like conspiracy and perjury. Taylor telling the jury, can you believe they asked a trained engineer if he knew what those words meant? So it must have stuck out to him at least
Yeah.
a little bit.
All right. Jeff Jenkins, you said one of the things that stood out to you during testimony was Bill Taylor and his skills as a defense attorney.
Yeah, here's Bill Taylor, Hoppy. I think he's seen a lot of trials. I've talked to some attorneys who know him, and he is probably one of the top 10 or 15 trial attorneys in the United States. And he's from Washington, D.C.,
Right.
and he's worked on some big cases. But the thing that hit me is now I forget the witness, but I'd heard some cross-examination from a couple of other Blankenship attorneys. And then Bill Taylor got up to do cross-exam, and I heard him speak for about a minute, and I thought, oh, man, this guy's good.
Why? What was it? What was it
Well,
about?
I think one thing he does, he automatically puts at ease a jury by his conversation, by his style, by his looking at the jury when he's speaking to the witness, those type of things, and he just puts them at ease. And then I've been really impressed with Bill Taylor, how much he knows or has learned about coal mining.
I'm sure that's his job to get in there.
Well, sure it is, but it's not like it's almost you can't tell that and I didn't know how much he knew about it before this, but it's like he's known about it for a long time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He
I
knows
do.
all the slang words.
Yeah.
There are the official mine words, and then what
Yeah.
what everyone underground calls things.
Well, that's important because that helps him, whether he just crammed for the last year or whatever, but that helps him establish credibility with the jury. Oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, and that's important. All right, let's go to, Shauna, another point that stood out for you, that is Bill Ross was on the stand. This is one of the key prosecution witnesses, one of the key government witnesses, former MSHA official for years, safety expert. He goes to work for Massey in charge of or responsible for a lot of their safety procedures. And Ross is on the stand testifying. He gets very emotional. Talk about that and why that stood out to you.
It was November 4th, Ross being the 24th prosecution witness. He'd been on the stand, I think, a day earlier, and this was the part of the testimony when it turned to an email he had sent after a meeting in the summer of 2009. And it's the Bill Ross memo that's been referenced many times. The many issues that he says he found by talking to miners and reviewing Massey's operations. And in this email, he says to a Massey official, there had been some questions about, okay, what do we do? We see all these problems, Bill. What do we do to fix it? So he was putting together a list of recommendations. And in the email that he sent, he said, I'm so thrilled about a new Massey Energy Corporation. Let's hope and pray that new and better things are going to happen. He actually broke down a little bit on the stand. He said, this company will be pleased at the results and I will be relieved.
Wow.
This was less than a year before the Upper Big Branch mine disaster. And I know it has nothing to do with the law, that moment when he broke down, but it really brought a human aspect to the courtroom after days of testimony where we've been looking at mine citations. The Upper Big Branch mine had more than 800 safety violations, citations in the indictment period, which is early 2008 to April 2010. We've seen a lot of citations. We've seen a lot of memos. We've seen a lot of other documents. So the Bill Ross testimony really stuck out to me just for being emotional, just for putting some kind of humanity into the courtroom.
She's exactly right, Hoppy. And to add to that, then he has a meeting with Blankenship. Blankenship calls Bill Ross to the little trailer down in Kentucky where Blankenship
had his office.
Yeah, and he calls him for a lunch meeting. And Ross thinks he might be getting fired because of this memo and some other conversations he has. And they have this sit-down meeting about safety, and he tells him if Ross's testimony is, if you would hire one more person per shift, then this would take care of all of this. And then the testimony was that Blankenship goes into this thing where you know how much that would cost, don't you? And kind of goes over some of the cost figures. And then Ross testified. He said, at the end of the meeting, I said, sir, there's one thing you can't afford, and that's a tragedy, because mines can't survive a tragedy.
Yeah, that's a key point because there's Ross, as Shauna said, there's a credible guy. He gets emotional. He's a sympathetic figure, and he comes to Blankenship and says, here's what we need to do for safety. Just one more person. And Blankenship says, you know how much it would cost, which comes to, Shauna and Jeff, the government's case, that is putting profits ahead of people's safety.
Yeah.
And there was testimony, and I don't know how accurate these figures are, but there was testimony that an additional person per shift would cost about $600,000 total, which would be almost what the UBB longwall was making at full production in one day.
Yeah. Let's go, Shauna, to what else has stood out to you about the trial. And you said recordings from Don Blankenship. Of course, he had this recording device in his office, and he could choose when to record something, when not to record something. And those tapes, a lot of those tapes have been entered into evidence. So what about these recordings stood out to you?
Well, the recordings stand out to me because this is the only time the jury has heard from Blankenship in his own words. He didn't take the stand to testify in his own defense, and so this has been their only window into what Blankenship sounds like and how he runs a business. And the prosecution tapes don't really cast him in a good light. The recordings. We need to get 1,000 people off the payroll. We've got to outrun these guys, run coal. Black lung's not an issue that's worth the effort put into it. This game is about money. That's what the jury heard. If you go to the end of the prosecution's case, there was a defense attempt to bring additional recordings into this trial, but U.S. District Judge Irene Berger said, no, that was not going to happen with the FBI special agent who was on the stand. And because the defense didn't call any of its own witnesses, there was no counterpoint to these recordings. And there were more than 1,600 recordings turned over to prosecutors and also the defense review.
Were there any recordings that came in that benefited Blankenship?
If they were played during testimony from Blanchard, I don't. They were all prosecution tapes, as far as I can remember, Jeff.
Yeah, they were. They were. No, nothing made him sound good.
None of the. Okay, yeah. But Jeff. So the phone conversation stood out to you as well, particularly the one of them to Blanchard.
Yeah, because he makes this. He talked to Blanchard almost every day.
Right.
And so they would talk, and this is not. It has nothing to do with any specific charge. But he got on to Blanchard. Now here's an engineer, a guy that's running several big coal mines, and he got on to him about the way he holds the phone up to his face.
Right.
And he says, where are you holding that phone? He says, is that underneath your chin again? And he goes, you think that's why people don't listen to you, because you don't speak up? He said, hold that phone up to your mouth. He said, isn't it something a CEO and a president has to give you that kind of,
But then that also shows how meticulous he was, because he's telling a mine group president who doesn't just oversee UBB, but many other mines, how to hold the phone.
Yeah. So that plays to the whole big thing. You know what I mean? The whole.
But it does.
Thing
But see, I think that's fascinating, because that stood out to both of you. Yet there's no law. I mean, that's not a violation.
There's no law against telling someone how to use the phone.
Right.
That's right.
So
that's right.
So, but yet it gets to this. It gets to this part which is far more nebulous and more subjective. But it's so ever present in this trial. That is the kind of guy he is. And I think it gets to, can you see this guy? Can you see Don Blankenship running roughshod over safety regulations leading to UBB, or do you think no, it's a real stretch? So of course he's on trial, but this is evidence and testimony that really makes members of the jury make decisions about the kind of guy he is.
And what the defense, they tried to offset that, Hoppy, by basically agreeing that Don Blankenship is that kind of guy, but that he's heading up this whole big corporation.
Right. He's trying to run all these mines.
And it's really, he doesn't control what's happening down on the face. You know, that's other people that are supposed to take hold of that, not him. He's more the big picture guy. That's what they tried to prove.
The defense question from the beginning, are we here because of what Don Blankenship did or because of who Don Blankenship is?
Yeah. Great point. Shauna Johnson, Jeff Jenkins covering the Blankenship trial from day one. Jury off for this holiday weekend. They'll be back to work Monday morning. Shauna and Jeff, thank you very much. We appreciate it. All right, thank you. When we come back, we'll turn over to high school. We'll go to high school sports, okay? That's next. Stay with us.
This Saturday, the West Virginia Mountaineers return home for a Big 12 matchup with the Iowa State Cyclones. Join MetroNews for the best, most listened to game day coverage. The pregame fun starts at 9 a.m. with the Jeep Golden Blue Countdown, followed by the Sports Brunch. Game line kicks off at high noon. Then postgame analysis begins at 3 with the Golden Blue Wrap-Up, brought to you by the West Virginia Oil and Natural Gas Association. Don't miss game day coverage at its best, beginning Saturday morning at 9, right here on MetroNews.
You know who taught me to use a hands-free device while driving? My mom. She scared me to death all through school with that phone up to her ear, driving us back and forth. Now that I'm on the road solo, I tell my mom, I'm worried about you. Go hands-free with the phone when you're driving. I do. It's important to set a good example for parents, so when she rides with me, I turn it off, put it down, and just drive.
The West Virginia Department of Transportation, saving one life at a time.
The Metro News channel at WVMetroNews.com brings you round 2 of the NCAA Division II playoffs. Shepherd hosts IUP this Saturday at 12 noon.
Let's go, boys!
Tune in as Travis Jones and Carl Lee bring you the sights and sounds of championship football. Don't miss a minute of the action with the live video stream starting Saturday at noon.
That's it!
Only on the Metro News channel at WVMetroNews.com.
There it is! There it is! Go!
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank, member FDIC. Friday, I know it's Black Friday. I know a lot of you are off today. We're here, we're live, and Steam Release comes your way at 11:33. Still doing Steam Release. Some of you may really have some steam after being out shopping. Fred Persinger, the voice of high school sports in West Virginia, and we're into the semifinals this weekend in the high school football playoffs. Fred, good morning. We're down to it.
We are indeed, Hop. Good morning to you. 12 teams, 6 games, and we'll eliminate half of those teams by Saturday night at the end of the game between St. Mary's and East Hardy. So, yeah, we're getting down to it, getting set to go to Wheeling next weekend.
AAA is 1, 2, 3, and 4.
It is. That just shows you that the rating system that the WVSSAC uses in high school football works. You got a Cabell Midland Ball Club that's not been beaten this year. That's the number 1 seed, a Point Pleasant team. Maybe a little surprising right now just because of the way they played and the way they handled Huntington last week, 49-0. Point Pleasant's undefeated. And then you have a Wheeling Park team that's lost one time. Capital, reigning state champs, they're 9-2. They have the worst record there. Yeah. And they're the 4 seed, and they're very, very dangerous if they can get healthy by tomorrow afternoon.
So it's Capital at Cabell Midland?
It is
tomorrow.
Right? 1:30 tomorrow afternoon, Capital at Cabell Midland. And then tonight it's Wheeling Park at Point Pleasant. So what's interesting, I think, with these 12 teams that's still left, in Class AAA, 3 of the 4 have never won a state football championship.
Really?
Yeah. In Class AA, 3 of the 4 have not won a state championship. And in Single A, 2 of the 4. So you've got 8 of the 12 remaining teams that's never won a state title. So that's some good stuff.
So I'm taking, then I would assume in AAA it's Cabell Midland, Wheeling Park, and Point Pleasant.
That's right. Capital has won, of course, and then in AA it's Bridgeport. And then in Single A, you've got the 2 teams that have won, and that would be Magnolia and Moorfield.
Set up the AA pairings.
Double A, you've got a repeat from the regular season for both games. Bridgeport, Fairmont Senior. In the regular season game, Bridgeport handled Fairmont Senior rather easily, 35-0. So it'll be interesting to see that rematch. Mingo Central, Tulsa. They met one time in the regular season. Tulsa beat Mingo Central 44-41. Good football game. So that'll be an interesting game coming up tonight. Both Double A games are tonight.
Okay, both are tonight. Fairmont Senior at Bridgeport, Mingo Central at Tulsa. Let's go to Single A and the matchups in Single A. You got an 11 seed in there.
Yeah, you do indeed. St. Mary's, and of course they went all the way to the Single A title game last year before losing in triple overtime to Williamstown. Williamstown did not get back to the semifinals. We'll have a new Single A state champ. And that first game coming up tomorrow afternoon, Moorfield and Magnolia, those are the two teams that really have come close to dominating Single A over the years. They're the two teams that have state championships. But when you look at some of them, particularly when you look at Moorfield, that's a team that everybody recognizes in Single A. They've not won a title, though, since 2003, so you know they are hungry. Magnolia, of course, in a Double A uniform. Years past, they're Single A now. They won their last one in 2010. And then the matchup tomorrow night, the last game of the semifinal weekend, East Hardy hosting St. Mary's. Neither of those two teams have won. St. Mary's, though, a real story. Again, as I mentioned, they won triple overtime last year before losing to Williamstown. They come in as the 11th seed, even though they're 10-2. First round, they knocked off unbeaten Buffalo. Then last week, they had a rematch with South Harrison, a team that had beaten them in the regular season. And St. Mary's just took care of them, shut them down 37-0. So St. Mary's is playing some really, really good football right now.
There's a couple long road trips in there, aren't there?
There are. In fact, both of them in Single A. Moorfield to Magnolia is 175 miles. St. Mary's to East Hardy is 171 miles. But, you know, tonight you've got a long one. Wheeling Park at Point Pleasant, that's about 165 miles. So that's a long bus trip as well.
That is.
Then you have some short ones. You've got Fairmont Senior at Bridgeport. That's 17 miles.
Yeah, exactly.
It's close.
Yeah, exactly. And Cabell Midland hosting Cabell. That's just down the interstate.
Just down the road a
Just
little
down
bit.
the interstate.
Yeah.
Fred, set up your coverage, please.
9:30 tonight, Dave and I will be with high school game night, final regular
You don't
season
have like four
edition.
games. You're going to do 2.5 hours on 4 games?
Well,
Or
I have three games.
3 games. You're going to do 2.5 hours on 3 games?
Please notice I said I have Dave Jekyllin with me. Now, we certainly got previews set up to preview the other games coming up tomorrow as well. But from 9:30 till midnight on about 43 radio stations statewide, and, of course, at WVMetroNews.com. We'll have the live video streaming on our Metro News channel at the website. Looking forward to all of that. But it's the final regular season edition of Game Night. 14th show will be in the books after tonight.
And then our Super 6 coverage next weekend.
Super 6 coverage. We're set to go. We're ready. We've got the Double A title game coming up. Kickoff at 7:30 next Friday night, and then at high noon for the Triple A title a week from Saturday. And then at 7 o'clock next Saturday night, we'll have the Single A title game. So it'll be interesting to see what 6 teams make it to Wheeling. I think it all shapes up really to be a good Super 6.
We'll leave it there. Fred Persinger, the voice of high school sports in West Virginia. Thank you, Fred.
You're welcome.
All right, man. Hunters, do you have game? I mean, as in, the game you're after. If you do, 3 ways to check in. By phone, 844-WV-CHECK. Online, log on to WVHunt.com. In person, stop by a hunting or fishing license agent. You'll need to know your permanent DNR ID number when you check your game, and then you'll be given a 13-digit confirmation number. But get your DNR ID number by going to WVHunt.com. WVHunt.com to get your DNR ID number. When we come back, Shepherd coach Monty Cater got a Division II playoff game tomorrow that'll be on MetroNews. This is Talkline on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia. 10:30, let's get a news update. Check in with the Metro News Radio Network and find out what's happening statewide this hour, all across the great state of West Virginia.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Shauna Johnson. For many people, today's Black Friday shopping is a tradition.
Well, to keep our family tradition going and enjoying the sales, the bargains, and, of course, the goodies that we try to get before the prices go up.
Just one of the many shoppers out today looking for deals. Tomorrow is Small Business Saturday, a national effort to encourage people to spend holiday money at locally owned stores. Though charitable giving has not yet rebounded to levels seen before the recession in West Virginia, people at all income levels are donating, according to a recent report from Philanthropy West Virginia. A $10 million payment is due immediately as part of West Virginia's settlement with Cash Call Incorporated, a company accused of abusive debt collection practices. Tip-off 10:30 tonight for West Virginia University and San Diego State in the championship game of the Las Vegas Invitational. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Shauna Johnson.
The Book Exchange has a message for everyone with a Mountaineer fan on your holiday shopping list. What are you waiting for? The Book Exchange has the best selection of WVU apparel and merchandise in the state. Over 1,000 items in stock, but they're not going to magically appear under the tree. So do your shopping early, before Thanksgiving break. That way, you can spend Black Friday the way it was intended. On the couch, watching football. The Book Exchange on Willie Street and on Pattison Drive.
A study from England shows that men spend more time each day looking at themselves than women. Well, believe that study or not, the point is we all want to look our best all the time. Well, the same holds true for businesses. We judge businesses, in fact, by their look. At Pikewood Creative, we produce videos and commercials that make businesses look their very best. And you know what? It improves their business. They get more customers and clients. If you'd like your business to look better, then check us out at pikewoodcreative.com.
AARP is your ally for real possibilities in West Virginia, a strong advocate, trusted resource, and partner in your pursuit of a life reimagined. At AARP, we're listening to members and potential members in every community across the state. Whether fighting for home energy affordability, enhancing financial security, supporting family caregivers, strengthening consumer protections, or helping you protect your hard-earned money, AARP is working every day for you. For more information, find us on Facebook at AARP West Virginia or visit us online at aarp.org/WV.
When you drive impaired in West Virginia, you break the law and endanger the lives of others. Law enforcement across the state is committed to keeping impaired drivers off the road. If you drive impaired, be prepared to pay the price. There are consequences. It's simple, West Virginia. Drive sober or get pulled over.
This message is brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program, the West Virginia Division of Motor Vehicles, and the West Virginia Department of Transportation.
Talkline on Metro News. Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank, member FDIC. Welcome back. Hoppy Kercheval with you. Tomorrow at noon, you can watch on the Metro News channel at wvmetronews.com, live video stream of the Division II football playoffs, round 2. It's Shepherd University against Indiana University of Pennsylvania. And joining us is the veteran Shepherd head coach, Monty Cater. Coach, good morning. How are you? Thanks for coming on.
That's okay, Hoppy. Glad to be with you.
Congratulations on a great year. Now you got to get a couple postseason wins here.
Well, it gets tougher, as you go. There's no weak teams that made it, and it was great to see finally two teams. Obviously, it was the West Virginia Conference before, but to see two Mountain East teams, University of Charleston and ourselves, both have a chance to get into the postseason. It's been a long time. Yeah, UFC got in. Now, UFC got beat by the team you play, Indiana University of Pennsylvania. The final there was 47-21. And UFC had some turnovers in that ball game, really hurt them. What did you see from IUP in that game? Well, they're really good. I mean, it's going to be the fourth time we've played them in the postseason, and that stretches out over a few years. But they are always very good. They're sound. They look at, I guess they probably look at offense, especially like we do, that you want to have a good running game. They're probably a little bit more involved with the option now than they were before. Got a great quarterback, and he's young, so he's going to cause problems for people for a long time. But they're very good, good people to throw to, big, strong running back, and, of course, he's a running threat himself. Mm-hmm. Their defense is very, very solid. They show you a lot of different things. They'll come at you with pressure at different times and keep you off balance. So we're going to have to pay attention to what we're doing, but we've got a great quarterback who's done a great job for us, especially over the last couple of years, and recognizing those things and hopefully making good decisions. Yeah, you got a lot there to chew on. Ziemba has had a great year. He was the Mountain East Conference Offensive Player of the Year, 2,800 yards passing, 26 touchdowns. He throws more than you liked. I thought you were just a line up and run guy. This is wide open football for you, Coach. It really is, and I think because we had that reputation as being primarily a running team and playing good defense, I don't think that has changed, especially the defensive part. But I think we've become more balanced, and And because it's such a young and inexperienced offensive line who we've, kind of had to put together after losing so many veterans, it's been one of those where we probably had to rely on the passing game just a little bit more this year. But we've got some real good receivers. Jeff's made some good decisions, good pocket presence, and that's what's kept us going.
Yeah. Coach Monty Cater's with us from Shepherd University. They got a D2 playoff game tomorrow at home. They're at the stadium in Shepherdstown against Indiana University of Pennsylvania. The game will be streamed live at the MetroNews channel at wvmetronews.com. You can watch the video stream. You talked about IUP's quarterback. Lenny Williams is his name. He had 4 rushing touchdowns against the University of Charleston, 1 passing. So he's got skills, right?
He really does. But, I thought UC did a real good job with him and had the lead, into the second half. But they think or at least they profess to score in bunches, and obviously they did, especially the fourth quarter. They really owned the game at that point in time and just kept the pressure on. So obviously we can't let that happen. But, I thought that at least at the initial part of the game and through the first half, I thought that Charleston, other than the turnovers, had done a very good job in terms of preparation, how they carried things out.
Coach, you've been there for a long time. You have 248 wins, 29 seasons in the Mountain East Conference, what is now the Mountain East Conference. But I look at your team, and this looks like a pretty good one. You've had a lot of good teams, but as you said, you got a good quarterback. The defense is extremely good, especially that front group. You've only given up 7 rushing touchdowns. Is this? I don't want to jinx you, but is this one of your better ones?
For one that's as young as we are, because we only have 13 seniors and a couple of those guys don't start, it's a very good team, but I think they have played together as good as any of the teams that we've had. I don't think we have as many people that are looked at as stars or people getting a lot of the print, although, with Jeff Ziamba and Chanel Jenkins on the defensive side, they've gotten a lot of attention. But I think the chemistry's been very good, and I think the kids have played together and pulled together and stayed close, and I think you can have some good years when those things happen.
Yeah, Monty Cater's with us, the head coach of Shepherd University. We're really proud to have our relationship coach with the MEC, and the fact we're going to do a video stream of this game tomorrow, so I hope you've spread the word. People, if you're not, I know you want people to be there, I get that, but people can watch it tomorrow at wvmetronews.com, and that's pretty cool. So it
really is, and I got a chance to watch a lot of the game last week and everything too, and it's excellent, and we're really pleased and happy to go ahead and have that relationship and hoping something that can continue.
Yeah. Coach Monty Cater, Coach, congratulations on a great year. We'll be rooting for you tomorrow against Indiana University of Pennsylvania. They're familiar. You see them all the time in the playoffs, it seems like. So good luck tomorrow. Watch it at noon. If you're not going to be at the game at Shepherdstown, watch it at wvmetronews.com at the Metro News channel. Coach Monty Cater, congratulations. Good luck tomorrow, Coach.
Thank you very much.
All right, good luck. Shepherd takes on IUP tomorrow. Game will be streaming live at wvmetronews.com at the Metro News channel. The Metro News channel. Take a break and be back. More to come. Stay with us.
'Tis the season to start saving. At MVB Bank, it's easy with our new 12-month CD. Start earning 1.15% annual percentage yield with a minimum deposit of just $1,000. To start your CD savings today, visit our jolly team at any MVB location or call us at 844-MVB-BANK. It's sure to keep you off the naughty list next year. MVB Bank. Your financial life made easy. Member FDIC.
A study from England shows that men spend more time each day looking at themselves than women. Well, believe that study or not, the point is we all want to look our best all the time. Well, the same holds true for businesses. We judge businesses, in fact, by their look. At Pikewood Creative, we produce videos and commercials that make businesses look their very best. And you know what? It improves their business. They get more customers and clients. If you'd like your business to look better, then check us out at pikewoodcreative.com.
Hunger, injustice, poverty. We see it, but what can we really do? Where is the hope? The hope is in you, and Catholic Charities West Virginia can help you extend hope, grace, and mercy to the most vulnerable in our communities. They're calling all people of goodwill to serve our brothers and sisters mired in poverty, burdened with disease and injustice. Join with Catholic Charities West Virginia and change a world. Visit CatholicCharitiesWV.org because the hope is in you.
This is Talkline on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
There. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank in West Virginia. The Marion County Historical Society will open its doors for the Holiday Historic Homes Tour on the 28th, that's tomorrow. Many of the homes will be decorated for the holidays. They have live music, refreshments. Homes include the historic former home of the Marion County Sheriff years ago, others dating back to the 1840s. This is the Marion County Historical Society Holiday Historic Homes Tour. Starts tomorrow. For more information, the website is go2wv.com. Go2wv.com or call 800-225-5982. 800-225-5982. Or the website is go2wv.com. The U.S. Naval Academy has a program called OPINFO. Anyway, about 300 midshipmen go back to their hometown to raise awareness and tell people about the Naval Academy. And this year, coming back to West Virginia to talk about the Naval Academy is Chris Kay. Chris Kay is a Charleston native, GW grad, and he is a midshipman at the Naval Academy. And he's back home for the holidays. Chris, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Hoppy. Thanks for having me.
Is that right? How do you pronounce that?
OPINFO. I think it stands for Operational Information. They just use acronyms for everything.
I was going to say, you guys in the military, everything's an acronym. OPINFO.
Exactly.
All right. Well, what are you doing? You back talking to people? Who have you been talking to since you've been back?
Well, it was a little bit tough because All County was out of school this week for Thanksgiving. I came back. We had school Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but they let me out on last Friday. And I came back and I was interviewing kids that were interested in coming to the Naval Academy. I went to Charleston Catholic High School and I went down to Jamie Dickinson's office and talked to high school juniors that were thinking about the academy, just really trying to get the word out, trying to tell them about the admissions process and everything they could expect if they were trying to pursue it.
Mm-hmm. Chris Kay is with us, and he is a midshipman, and he's been back for OPINFO. I was reading that wrong. OPINFO, where he tells people about the Naval Academy. So what kind of questions did they have? What'd you tell them?
Well, a lot of them, they asked about what our daily life is. They asked about the admissions process, and they were just really curious about like how people's lives changed when they came.
Yeah. How did yours change? I mean, because it is a dramatic change. High school, and you're BMOC at GW, then you go off to the Naval Academy, and you get they straighten you out pretty quick, I guess. So what's it like there when you get there?
Well, I mean, it definitely is a shock. I mean, you go in, and before you start at the Naval Academy, you have 7 weeks of a basic training-like environment. It's called Plebe Summer, where they go in, they shave your head, they take all of your clothes away and give you brand new clothes. It's really just an indoctrination into the military. And I mean, you're standing there with 40 other kids, and you don't know any of them. You have to make new friends. But I mean, after a while, you come back together because I mean, there are great people there, and I mean, it's just a great environment to be in.
How many times though? Now, be honest. How many times in the first 6-8 weeks did you think, "Oh my gosh, I got to get out of here"?
I mean, there was a few. I mean, it was tough. It was a culture shock. I mean, you go from being in high school where you're in charge of yourself, you make all your own decisions, to someone pretty much babysitting you all the time, telling you how to do everything, and all of a sudden you realize you forget how to tie your own shoes or something like that because everyone's telling you to do everything wrong. So it definitely is a bit of a shock.
So and I'm not going to dwell on this, but tell me that one moment then where something happened, you thought, I got to get the heck out of here. I mean, what was that one thing? And then we'll talk about the positives, because I think there are far more positives than negatives.
Well, I went in, and the 5th day, I had torn my labrum in high school playing basketball, and I had surgery on it. And the 5th day of this basic training, I went and I re-tore it when we were doing we were in trouble, and we were doing a lot of push-ups and stuff, and my arm slipped on the tile where we had been sweating, and I was sitting there in the emergency room, and I really didn't know what was going to happen, because I just had surgery on that shoulder, and I just torn it back up. So that was a pretty low moment.
Yeah. You know why I had that shoulder injury in high school? You were shooting too much.
Right. Exactly.
So, and then obviously things settle in, and is it after you get rolling, it's not as bad as one might think. I mean, obviously you get grilled, but the harassment's been reduced pretty significantly, hasn't it?
Right. Well, so you go through for 7 weeks, and then the academic year starts, and it goes back over the summer. It's all plebes, which is our name for freshmen, and then the seniors are the ones that are kind of like your drill instructors, more or less. But then the school year starts, and everyone comes back, and at that point, there still is some military aspect to it. There is still the getting up at 5:30 in the morning and going and working out, and there is still marching around. But I mean, it is a lot of a normal school day. I compare it a lot to a high school. I mean, we get up, and we're up at 7 o'clock every morning if you don't have a workout, and then we have class from 7:30 to 3:30, and then after that you kind of have a sports time where you go and play intramurals or your varsity sport, and then you go study after that. I mean, everything's very structured, but it is a lot like a high school schedule at that point.
Chris Kay is with us, Charleston, West Virginia native, GW grad, and he is at the Naval Academy. So let's see, so you're in your second year, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Their second year. And he's back with a program where they come back and talk to young people who are interested in going to the academy. So what are you studying at Annapolis?
Well, Annapolis has a huge reputation of being an engineering school. I actually went away from that. I'm studying cyber operations. It's the only major of that type in the country. It ties in a lot of computer science, and right now the only thing I'm doing is a ton of coding. But we also look at the policy, the ethics, and the law behind the stuff that you read about with China stealing information and things like that. So when I graduate, I can either go towards the path of hacking, anti-hacking, that type of stuff, or I could go towards the ethics of the law side of it.
Interesting. So would you go to law school from that, or just
potentially out of the Naval Academy? Everyone goes unrestricted line, which the JAG Corps, which is the law side of it, is a restricted line. So because of that, I would go, if I wanted to go that route, I would go and I would serve unrestricted line in a normal job, like on a surface ship or something like that.
Right.
And then after my 5-year commitment, then I could consider going to law school or something at that point if I wanted to pursue that route.
Chris Kay is with us, and he is second year at the Naval Academy, and he's back in town for a couple of days. You're going to Estonia and Germany next year, is that right? What's that for?
That's correct. They have great opportunities for international programs. So through my major, I would go to Estonia for a cyber conference with professors from all over the world. And I had a friend that went there last year. He's a year older than me. And all of these professors are looking, and they're trying to start a major similar to the one that I'm in at the Naval Academy because it's the only one of that type. And after that, I'm in Estonia for about a week, and then I'll go over to Germany to take a cyber class. It's some type of qualification. I haven't looked into it that much, but I know that it's first half is a conference and the second half is a class. It's all expenses paid for through the military. You travel with the school, and it's just one of those really neat opportunities that you get from the Naval Academy.
Mm-hmm. The academies are reputed. They're known for some of the best education in the world. I know I have a friend of mine, Zach Spiker, who's the head basketball coach at Army, and he tells it's tough, obviously, recruiting some kids. He just says you're going to get the best education that can be offered in this country. In your second year now, do you feel that the quality of education is just unmatched?
Oh, it really is. It is an outstanding education. I mean, for me at least, it's not as tough as it could be just because we're so structured. I mean, I'm told when I have to study, so there's not really they definitely eliminate the distractions.
Mm-hmm.
So I do pretty well with it. But, I mean, yes, the academics there are very well known, and they are very tough.
You know, that's a great point, too, is that because it's so structured, you don't have as many distractions. And when your life is structured, then there's not a lot of time to, get in trouble or make mistakes. It's just, and time goes by very quickly when that's the case, and you're always busy doing something.
It does. Time does fly when I'm over there.
How's the food?
The food, okay, well, the food is really cool. So what they do at lunchtime, we go and we have a formation where we go and march, and it's almost like a mini parade every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we march right into the mess hall, and there's 4,500 kids at the Naval Academy, and they seat us all at the same time and feed us all in the same time in the same mess hall, which is a pretty cool thing if anyone that's ever gone down and experienced it on a recruiting trip or having the opportunity to visit the Naval Academy, they always show you that because they have ladies that are going through the hall with huge refrigerated carts or heated carts and serving all 4,500 people at one time, and we all eat together. And the food, I mean, it's better than you'd think for serving 4,500 people at the same time. I mean, it's obviously not a luxury cuisine, but I mean, I don't go hungry. I think the food's very good.
That's awesome.
Considering everything.
That's awesome. Chris Kay's with us. He's in his second year at the Naval Academy. He's back in West Virginia, raising awareness about the Naval Academy, talking to any young men and women who might be interested in going to the Naval Academy, becoming a midshipman. How many demerits have you gotten?
I haven't got any demerits, luckily.
What?
Yeah, I know. I've tried to behave myself. A couple of my friends have gotten in a little bit of trouble, but I've been lucky enough I still have 0. So.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, can't you get demerits though just for not doing some of the basics, like how your room looks or your bed made, any of that kind of stuff? Do you get demerits for that?
No, the demerit system, it's more just for straight conduct issues. If you get in trouble for something even minor, they might give you 10 demerits, or the most they'll give you at one time is 100, and if you get 100 demerits, you get something that's called a black N. Because I mean, our logo is just like the N with a star,
right?
And you get a sweater with it's a gold sweater with a black N on it, and you get to wear it on Halloween if you get 100 merits.
Oh, geez.
Which there are several people that do have that sweater, and they get to wear them around on Halloween. But I'm not anywhere close to that right now.
Are you going to the Army Navy game?
Yes, they take the entire brigade of midshipmen and all of the cadets from West Point, and it's in Philadelphia this year. And we take up a good quarter of the stadium, and it's a really cool thing to look, even if it's on TV. Because you have all of our black uniforms and all of their gray uniforms over there. I mean, it's one of the coolest looking student sections I've ever seen.
How much do they drill into you about Beat Army?
Well, about 100 times every day. The freshmen, when they're in the hall, when they're in the dorms, they have to run. They can't walk. And when they're running, they always have to be in the direct middle of the hallway. So if they're turning a corner, they have to square it at 90 degrees, and they have to yell, "Beat Army." So you hear "Beat Army" at least 100 times a day.
Chris Kay, man, it's been great talking to you. Congratulations. You're doing really well. We're proud of you, and keep up the good work. It's good to have you back visiting West Virginia. Come back as often as you can. I know you're really busy. Come back as often as you can. Make us proud, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right, Chris. Good to talk to you. Chris Kay at the Naval Academy. Doing well. Glad to hear it. We'll be back. Stay with us.
True to its motto, wild and wonderful, West Virginia is the third most forested state in the country for landmass and has 7 million more forested acres now than 100 years ago. The mountain state is abundantly blessed with valuable renewable forest resources, which naturally regenerate for future generations. Forestry is the basis for over 5,000 separate wood and paper products, creating millions of dollars in state revenue from business income and property taxes. A message from the West Virginia Forestry Association, WVFA.org.
This Saturday, the West Virginia Mountaineers return home for a Big 12 matchup with the Iowa State Cyclones. Join MetroNews for the best, most listened to game day coverage. The pregame fun starts at 9 a.m. with the Jeep Gold and Blue Countdown, followed by the Sports Brunch. Game line kicks off at high noon. Then postgame analysis begins at 3 with the Gold and Blue Wrap-Up, brought to you by the West Virginia Oil and Natural Gas Association. Don't miss game day coverage at its best, beginning Saturday morning at 9, right here on MetroNews.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
And then my dad even let me drive his car.
The hospital's on the right!
It was a rough day.
It was a great day.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank, member FDIC. Here in West Virginia, there are 2 great jackpot games you can play from the West Virginia Lottery. Powerball has drawings on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Mega Millions has drawings on Tuesdays and Fridays. The Powerball jackpot is $100 million. The Mega Millions jackpot, $31 million. Please play responsibly. Email from Ron Hoppy. It would be great to be young again. It is, I tell you, it is. A very impressive young man, and Chris Kay, and it's just great to see but people from West Virginia who take advantage of that opportunity, and it is a tremendous advantage. It's obviously very challenging, but what an advantage to get that quality, that level of education that's offered at the Service Academy. So good luck to Chris. Sounds like he's doing fine. We're going to take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back, we'll talk about Marshall here, kicks it off in an hour. Huge showdown game with Western Kentucky. We'll talk with Dave Wilson about that. Brad Howell joins us, set up the game against Iowa State tomorrow, and also steam release. And I would think that there's steam that's built up coming up at 11:33. Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Talkline on the Metro News Radio Network in and around the great state of West Virginia. Live show today. We're here. We're in studio. We're covering the news. A lot of it's sports today. We will be doing steam release at 11:33. Your chance to vent, get it off your chest. So I know the steam builds up, especially during this hectic season, and it's a good time to vent and get it off your chest. Steam release at 11:33. Okay, coming up here in about 53 minutes, Marshall takes on Western Kentucky. We're going to talk about that game and also WVU and Iowa State tomorrow. Pregame begins at 9 on these Metro News radio stations and at WVMetroNews.com. Please welcome Brad Howe, Metro News Sports, and also Dave Wilson, Metro News Sports, covering Marshall. Hey, Dave.
Hello.
Revenge time for the Herd.
That's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
That's what at least the fans have been talking about all week. The players have been very
they
politically
right.
correct about it, one game at a time, all leading up to it. But they've been thinking about this game all year because there's the revenge factor and a chance to go play in the conference title game is on the line again this year.
Because it was the Hilltoppers that wrecked the undefeated season last year.
Last year it was that crazy game, 67-66 was the final. Western Kentucky wins in overtime on a 2-point conversion. Now, Marshall had already sewed up the East Division title that time around. This year, they're even basically in the conference. Western Kentucky hasn't lost in the conference yet, but you'll win the head-to-head if Marshall wins today. So a lot riding on the line.
So they got to win to get to the conference championship.
Got to win today, and there is a pretty good shot if Marshall wins, they host it next week.
Oh, really?
There's some time. They got to go to a 6th tiebreaker with Louisiana Tech, but if they would win on the other side.
Why is there so much bad blood between these teams? Last year before the game, there was a kerfuffle.
I don't know because they'd never played, really of any significance until last year. And there was some chippiness before the game.
Yeah.
There was the kerfuffle, and then you have Western beating Marshall at home, knocking off that undefeated season, and I think you just had an instant rivalry kind of boil over there because the fan bases are fairly close. I mean, it's only a few hours drive over to Bowling Green, so and there's been some chippiness on social media a little bit this week. Yeah, a little more from the Western Kentucky side.
Oh, of course, you would say that. Like, it's those Western Kentucky people, not the Marshall people.
I think the Marshall guys I'm talking about players. But
really?
I think the guys got put on lockdown in the Shuey building. So.
Oh, really? So what did the Western Kentucky players say?
It was one of the defensive backs who actually had 3 picks last year off of Cato. Just lobbing some trash. No, don't say some trash. Some trash talk back and forth.
Oh, good locker room material,
yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. Good locker room stuff.
Play that up, Doc Holliday. You see what they're saying about you right now? He's doing. I see what they're saying about you. Build them up. Yeah. So is this season? If Marshall wins, there's so much riding on this game. I think.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
Not just getting to the championship game, but how you're perceived this year and that kind of thing. A chance maybe to crack the top 25 if you win out, that kind of thing.
Well, I think if you would have told me back in August that Marshall would be in the position it's in, which this is where we thought it would be, but you're going to do it with a true freshman quarterback, not a redshirt junior. You're going to do it without Devin Johnson in the backfield all year. You're going to do it without Clint Van Horn at right tackle, and you're going to do it piecing together an offensive line who's been injured. I mean, they've played redshirt sophomores and redshirt freshmen up on the offensive line all season. Mm-hmm. I would have taken. I'm going, okay, I'll take all that because, Chase Litton's only going to get better, I would think, as his career goes on. They got a young backfield with guys like Tony Pittman and Keon Davis back there who, when we were in August, we weren't talking about them. Right. We were talking about Devin Johnson and Remy Watson. So I would take all of that. If you said, we'll be in this position with a true freshman quarterback, sure, I'll take that every day.
Noon today, Marshall and Western Kentucky. Winner goes to the conference championship game.
That they do.
All right, thanks, Dave. We appreciate it. Dave Wilson covering Marshall. And Brad Howe joins us. And Brad Howe, because it's rivalry weekend, West Virginia is playing Iowa State.
One of the downfalls of being in the Big 12, Hop, you're exactly right.
We have no right.
Today.
No backyard brawl, no rivalry game, except you're playing Iowa State. So, ho-hum. That's it.
Well, don't be ho-hum. This is a big game.
No, I'm not. Actually, I'm into it. I'm into it. And I tell you, I actually think it's fascinating because you have no idea what to expect. I mean, you have no idea what the emotional state of Iowa State is. I suspect they're going to be sky high. I suspect because I think they love Paul Rhodes.
That would be the logical choice. All indications are that team loves Paul Rhodes is right. You listen to what some of their players have said in the media, and that certainly bears fruit. The question just becomes, I'm with you. I would expect they're going to come out ready to play and give a great effort. The thing is, this just isn't a very good Iowa State team. So how far can that emotion actually carry this team? I think that's the biggest question.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. Emotion will guarantee that you show up and play hard, but then you got to have skills, and they just don't have a lot of skills. They got a good running back in Mike Warren, and he's a good freshman running back, but beyond that, and they're just not that good.
Yeah, and they've got pieces. You're right. Warren has been very good. They've actually got 3 receivers that are very good. One of them, Alan Lazard, is as good as anybody in America. He was wanted by nearly everyone. Comes out of Urbandale, Iowa, which is not far from Ames. Lanning is in it, quarterback Joel Lanning, which was a source of the friction between Rhodes and the offensive coordinator Mark Mangino that led to Mangino's ouster a couple weeks ago. And I think the dangerous thing, if you're the Mountaineers, when you look at this Iowa State team, they do have a few of those pieces. Their problem this year, and ultimately this led to Rhodes' firing, they can't close this year.
Right.
They have been right there in a bunch of games, including the last 2 weeks, leading by double digits. Last week against Kansas State, they were up 7 with 91 seconds to go and couldn't finish. They took Iowa, who's number 3 in the college football rankings, and were tied with Iowa with 2 minutes to go in the game. So they've been right there against some teams. They just can't finish. But at the end of the day, Hop, here's what you need to look at. This team in Iowa State hasn't won a conference road game since it beat West Virginia in 2013. So it's a team that has some pieces. We can build a case for the emotion around Paul Rhodes. At the end of the day, this is a team West Virginia should handle pretty easily tomorrow.
I don't even remember that game in 2013. I might have been there.
No, it was a bad night for West Virginia. Double overtime game. It was
that's right.
That just bad season for West Virginia. They lost to Kansas that year and Iowa State. It was
right.
Ugly.
That's
Remember,
right.
West Virginia had them. They were down double figures. Iowa State came storming back. That's the last time Iowa State has won on the road. So this tells you what this team's been like the last couple of years.
So the Lions 2 touchdowns. That's about right.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I mean, again, this team has struggled in Iowa State. West Virginia is streaking right now. They're playing better. Again, some of that's attributed to the schedule. We have to be fair about that. These have been some not very good teams West Virginia's faced. It gets another one tomorrow. But West Virginia's running game has been very good. I think that 2 touchdown mark is about right.
Speaking of the schedule, and this week the schedule for next season came out. I know you've talked about that some as you've hosted Sportsline This Week in Hotline. What's your take on the schedule?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch because there's no question this year was so difficult because you had the 4 ranked teams. So it prohibited, even if West Virginia had a shot to contend for a league title into November, that took that off the table. Right. But at the end of the day, Hoppy, if this team goes out and does what it should and wins 5 straight, then plays in a bowl and could win 6 straight, that's a heck of a lot of momentum heading into next year. You look at next year's schedule, I wonder if the complaint will be, oh my gosh, you backloaded us so much. You've got Oklahoma and Baylor as 2 of your final 3 games. So next year it's extremely difficult on the back end. But again, as we've always said, when you're playing in a league that has a round-robin format, when you can't avoid any of the other teams, you're going to have a tough stretch of your schedule. It's just a matter of when that falls.
Well, October, I mean, going back to that, October was brutal and almost unconscionable to think that the schedule would come out that way. However, next year, you're right. So it's backloaded. But you know what? If you're pretty good next year and you beat teams you're supposed to beat, et cetera, then you might be, in fact, competing for a conference championship and playing teams and having meaningful games in November.
Well, there's no question. And just at the end of the day, it doesn't matter when you play those teams. You just have to be good and beat them. I mean, look what Baylor and TCU.
Well, it does matter. It does matter because you don't want to. It does matter. You don't want to play those games. You don't want to play 4 top 10 teams in a row. You don't want to do that.
Go look what Oklahoma's doing. They're doing the same thing to finish the season. They're not complaining. They're just going to win games. Oklahoma State doing the same thing. TCU doing the same thing. They're playing their games late in the season. And that's just part of the deal.
Did you not acknowledge numerous times the brutality of the October schedule? How really difficult that was. And you'd like to have it more spaced out, wouldn't you?
Well, Oklahoma, that's what I'm saying. Oklahoma doesn't, TCU doesn't, Oklahoma State doesn't. They're playing the same schedule, but it's backloaded. They're getting those games now. So what's the difference? What's it matter if you have it in October or the end of November?
How good's the basketball team?
That's a good question. That's a nice win last night. They were tested by Richmond. That had a late season feel to it.
Yeah.
This team's got to get a lot better. I mean, losing Jawan State is not easy to replace, and it looks early as if what everybody thought the issue was going to be, who takes over at point guard because you don't have a true point guard on this roster.
Yeah.
That looks to be the question they have to answer. Devin Williams, on the other hand, has been absolutely fantastic. A double-double in every game. He looks to be living up to the hype so far, but he's going to need some help on the offensive end.
Teams know that, and they're just packing it in. I mean, Williams is a man, but if there's no threat from the outside, good teams are going to pack it in, and at some point, that's going to catch up to you. Unless you can.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to see tonight against San Diego State, is some of those guys are going to have to start hitting the shots from outside, because you're right. Teams are just going to continue to keep backing in on Williams and saying, all right, someone else beat us. Those guys are going to have to step up.
Would it have been better for West Virginia if Cal had won that game, because then West Virginia would play a ranked team and start to get noticed, or is it still November? Doesn't matter. Who cares?
You know, I talked to Tony about that very same thing this morning. That's my take on it. I would have rather them take on number 14 Cal, make a little bit of a national splash if you can get a win. San Diego State's been a very good program over the years. You just don't know what they have this year. Will they end up being an NCAA tournament team? So, yeah, my take would be I would have rather seen West Virginia get Cal, although this will be a good test tonight as well.
Brad House with us, MetroNews Sports. Texas Tech beat Texas. I don't know. Why is there a surprise in my voice when I say that? I'm not sure.
Because at the very least, Texas has handled Texas Tech. That's just, you talk about a big brother beating up on little brother. They have. Texas Tech goes into their place last night and gets a win.
Wow.
That's going to be another long, loud off season for Charlie Strong and Austin. That's another tough loss, because as we saw, that Texas Tech team just isn't very good.
Isn't very good, but Texas is not. It's amazing how bad Texas is. And I know they're playing a lot of young people. I know that Mac Brown, I mean, I know that maybe things weren't in great shape, but still they got a ton of athletes. They're bad and underperforming, in my opinion.
That's well said. Bad and underperforming, and for 2 straight years. I mean, that's the other thing. Is it got no better this year for Texas.
It got worse.
I mean,
they got worse.
It did get worse. Yeah, it got worse because they've got a tough game against Baylor to finish their season. So they're in some real trouble there. And again, you hate to say a guy's on a hot seat after 2 years, but that talk is really going to flare up again because they're just flat out terrible.
It may, but I don't know if you can. I mean, yes, in today's climate, but I would think 2 years, you got to be. You can't be on the firing high, can you? After 2 years?
Well, the only way you can, and here's what we don't know. I mean, it's easy from the outside to look at them and say they're terrible. Here's what you can't see. You don't know how bad it was when he took over, which I know is hard to believe from the outside. Mac Brown's a Hall of Famer and he has a national championship. It's hard to know exactly how much rebuilding he had to do inside that locker room and culture-wise. So if you're staring at that and it was really at rock bottom for them, and he had a long way to build it, then I think you're going to get some more patience. And that's what those of us outside of the locker room and that community we just don't know that. So that's what you're waiting on.
Who would be, since this is rivalry weekend and you're not playing Pitt until whenever, who would be West Virginia's, is Maryland the biggest, is that what you got? I mean, who's your biggest conference rival, even though they would not view West Virginia as a rival?
I think you've got to say Baylor at this point. And here's my justification for taking Baylor. Baylor's been very good, so I think you need somebody that's been very good that you can go after. 2, you've had some close games. Not every one of them has been close, but you've had some close ones, including the first one in the Big 12, 70-63. You had that game in Morgantown last year.
Right.
And then the third piece of it was, it seems each meeting with these two teams, there's some chippiness. Mm-hmm. And there's some yapping back and forth, and there's some screaming. So I think that adds to the rivalry. So I think if I'm picking one right now, I will go Baylor, although I don't know if Baylor views that because they've got about 10 other rivals in this league.
They really do. If you could, as following West Virginia and covering West Virginia, put on a little bit of a fan hat here. If you could pick one team to be West Virginia's rival in the Big 12, who would it be?
I think the easy answer is you take Oklahoma or Texas because those are the bell cows in this league. Those are the two with the biggest national rep over time, especially in college football. Those have been 2 of your 5 top programs. So if I was picking, all things being equal, I would take one of those 2 schools.
Would you have let Paul Rhodes coach this week?
Yes, I absolutely would. And my theory on that is, and I know Jamie Pollard, their athletic director, from working with him at Maryland, is a good guy, is a caring guy. I know this was a tough decision for him. Yes, I view this as almost a going away party for Paul Rhodes, even though it's a firing. Give him one last week with his guys. Give his guys one last week to send him off in what they hope is a proper way. So, yes, rather than Sunday after the game, this Sunday you fire Rhodes. Some of those kids have scattered. They don't get a chance to say goodbye to the guy that brought them to Iowa State. I like it. In this situation, those two, Pollard and Rhodes, have a good relationship. Rhodes is well-liked. I think this is the right thing to do. Give him the last week to say goodbye to his guy.
What's a better job, Maryland or Iowa State?
Maryland. You've got resources. You've got more talent in the area. You've got Under Armour's money. Iowa State's a really tough gig. They've got a great fan base, one of the most underrated in the country, in my opinion. They keep showing up every single Saturday, even though they've been bad. That's a really tough job. Much like West Virginia, there's not a lot of D1 kids coming out of Iowa, so you've got to go get them from somewhere else, and you're a clear number 2 in your own state to the Iowa Hawkeyes. You fall even further down when Iowa has a year like they're having this year. So I think Maryland's definitely a better job.
Brad Howe, Metro News Sports. He will host Hotline this afternoon and Sportsline and be with us tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock when we start our coverage of West Virginia and Iowa State. Brad, always good chatting with you, bud.
Thanks, Hop. Appreciate it.
Later, man.
Imagine a scale, and you're trying to balance it. Too much on one side, and it sinks, just like our state's economy. When jobs are centered on one or two industries, the balance is off, our economy sinks, and good-paying jobs disappear. West Virginia needs a variety of industries, including fossil fuels, small business, and high-tech jobs to bring balance. The High Technology Foundation works to bring those high-tech jobs here. Ask your legislator if they're helping the High Technology Foundation bring balance to our economy. From the West Virginia High Technology Foundation.
Trading in your business fleet or personal vehicle for a new one? Donate your used vehicle to Good News Mountaineer Garage and get the best tax deduction possible and the satisfaction of knowing your donation changed the life of someone in need. Good News Mountaineer Garage repairs donated vehicles and provides them to qualified West Virginia families, giving them access to employment, safe, affordable housing, health care, and other vital necessities, and putting them on the road to economic independence. Call 1-866-GIVE-CAR today for Good News Mountaineer Garage. 866-GIVE-CAR.
The Metro News channel at WVMetroNews.com brings you round 2 of the NCAA Division II playoffs. Shepherd hosts IUP this Saturday at 12 noon.
Let's go, boys!
Tune in as Travis Jones and Carl Lee bring you the sights and sounds of championship football. Don't miss a minute of the action with the live video stream starting Saturday at noon.
That's it!
Only on the Metro News channel at WVMetroNews.com.
There it is! There it is! Go!
This is Talkline on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more, together with
Talkline on Metro News. After Paris, more than half the states, the governors, more than half the states came out and said, we're not taking any Syrian refugees. The president now has come down and said, yes, you are. John Decker, Fox News Radio at the White House. John, good morning. What exactly did the president say, and how firmly did he say it?
Yeah, good morning to you. Well, the president had a Thanksgiving Day message in which he alluded to the situation involving those Syrian refugees. And the same day that he had that Thanksgiving message, a message went out to all the governors in a letter that they must abide by the law. And that is, they can't deny any benefits that refugees would be due if indeed they traveled to their states. But you raise a very good point. Close to 36 governors in our country have said that they will not welcome these Syrian refugees. Reason being is because these refugees' backgrounds can't be vetted to the extent that most individuals who are seeking asylum in this country would be vetted. And we also know that the House, overwhelmingly in a veto-proof majority, has passed legislation which would increase the amount of vetting for these Syrian refugees.
John, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the whole vetting process, but the preliminary research I've done indicates that refugees are pretty thoroughly vetted and it takes 18 to 24 months. Why is it more difficult with the Syrians? Because there just aren't any records because of where they're coming from?
That's exactly right. So I had a conversation about a month ago, even before those terrorist attacks in Paris, with the Homeland Security Secretary, Jay Johnson, and I asked him this question. Again, this is before Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, can you be certain that the individuals that are going to be granted refuge in this country don't have backgrounds that we wouldn't like? In other words, backgrounds associated with ISIS. And he said, it's so difficult, as you just said, to determine the backgrounds of individuals coming from a country that is going through a civil war, that is war-torn, essentially a country in which we don't even really acknowledge the leadership of that nation. We're talking, of course, about Syria, and I think that's the problem here. And so what the House legislation would do would to make the FBI director and the Homeland Security Secretary vouch for every individual who is granted refuge in this country.
At the same time, the president is, he's not equivocating on this, that this is really a federal issue, not federalism, but a federal issue, and states can't turn them away.
It is a federal issue, and you're right, states cannot turn them away. So I think what a lot of governors are doing is speaking on behalf of their constituents, but at the end of the day, no governor can block any individual from entering their state, and that's just a fact. And so what I think the government needs to do, the federal government needs to do, is to make certain that the individuals that are permitted to enter this country from Syria are vetted properly. The president has said that he wants to allow 10,000 Syrian refugees into this country next year. That's a lot, and I think that you wonder to what extent the agencies that are in charge of vetting will be overwhelmed because of that large number.
John Decker, Fox News Radio at the White House. John, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
I appreciate that. Thanks, you too.
Thank you. All right, John Decker, Fox News Radio at the White House. By the way, police in Chicago have announced the arrest of a man in connection with the death of that 9-year-old boy whose alleged gang-related slaying spurred outrage in Chicago. So police have made an arrest. They announced it just a little bit ago. We'll be back. Steam release coming up next. You are next. You are next. This is Talkline on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia. 11:30. Let's get a news update. Check in with the Metro News radio network and find out what's happening statewide this hour all across the great state of West Virginia.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Shauna Johnson. Shoppers are out throughout West Virginia on this Black Friday looking for deals on the day that has traditionally marked the start of the holiday shopping season. The season, though, began earlier this month for some retailers in stores and online. Doors opened on Thanksgiving Day in parts of the Mountain State with Black Friday bargains. In Marshall County, the search continues today for a Cameron man wanted for allegedly helping his girlfriend hurt her 11-month-old son. Investigators say the boy was beaten, bitten, and his arm was broken. Another mild day for this day after Thanksgiving in West Virginia. Meteorologists with the National Weather Service say it'll be colder by next week, though, for the start of December. Coming up tomorrow on the Metro News channel at WVMetroNews.com, you can watch the Shepherd and IUP game in the Division II college football playoffs. Game time is set for noon. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Shauna Johnson.
The West Virginia Attorney General's Office investigates thousands of consumer protection complaints each year, targeting identity thieves, financial predators, and scam artists. They want to help you fight back. If you feel like you've been ripped off, call the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division, toll-free, at 800-368-8808, or find them online at wvago.gov. File an electronic complaint, sign up for scam alerts, and educate yourself about our state's consumer protection laws. That's 800-368-8808 or wvago.gov.
The Book Exchange has a message for everyone with a Mountaineer fan on your holiday shopping list. What are you waiting for? The Book Exchange has the best selection of WVU apparel and merchandise in the state. Over 1,000 items in stock, but they're not going to magically appear under the tree. So do your shopping early, before Thanksgiving break. That way, you can spend Black Friday the way it was intended. On the couch, watching football. The Book Exchange, on Willie Street and on Patterson Drive. MetroNews Radio Networks, the voice of West Virginia, and the voice of successful businesses across the state. You might be interested to know that when you advertise on MetroNews, your message is heard in all 55 counties on more than 60 radio stations, that our programming reaches more than 600,000 people each week, and that by associating with West Virginia MetroNews, you're associating your business with some of the biggest names in the state, like Hoppy Kercheval, Tony Carini, Chris Lawrence, Fred Persinger, and many more. But maybe you should just listen to what some of our advertisers have to say.
Metro News understands West Virginia, understands the businesses in West Virginia, understands the people.
And it's in every little nook and cranny and small town in West Virginia.
It's accomplishing what we set out to accomplish.
We're reaching a vast majority of West Virginians through the network.
They really do become a strategic partner.
It is the simplest and easiest way to reach the largest percentage of West Virginians.
Visit WVMetroNews.com to find out how to get your business on the most efficient and effective advertising entity in the state. Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Folks, it may be the holidays for many of you, but it's still Friday at 11:33, and that means steam release.
I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's grey, and Wednesday too. Thursday, I don't care about you. It's Friday, I'm in love.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
Folks, I know the steam builds up, believe me. And I have this show, and it's very cathartic, and afterward I feel relieved and drained and everything. But I don't know what you have. I don't know where you go to release what's built up inside you, and especially this time of year. And probably more so now than any other time of year, we want to make sure this is available to you so you can vent and get it off your chest. So it's up to you about what it is. I mean, Black Friday, it could be about the shopping experience or how people behave out there sometimes or whatever. It could be about that. We never even touched on today what Donald Trump said, where he reportedly was mocking a reporter's disability. Reportedly, Trump denies it. So it may be about that. Could be about the holiday season in general, the best and the worst of holiday season. I didn't even mention this. Had this today, never got to it, that there's a report by the National Car Insurance Federation that says West Virginia is in the bottom fourth of drivers in America, roughly the bottom fourth of drivers in America. You will not believe who they said was number one, who's best. Ohio. Seriously. They said Ohio. I'm not kidding. But West Virginia was in the bottom fourth. We reported earlier this week, charitable giving is down in West Virginia. Why do you think that is? The odds of a terror attack occurring in this country, do you think they are non-existent, possible, probable, imminent? Are states correct? You just heard from John Decker. Are states right or wrong when they say they're not going to accept Syrian refugees? On and on. So what is it you need to vent about? And again, as an added bonus, you can release steam about me or this program. Not about JR, not about Deborah Martinelli handling the video stream, but about me or this program. Now, I have to take it. like a spanking to a bad donkey. 1-800-765-8255, 1-800-765-TALK. Email your steam, talkline at wvmetronews.com. Tweet your steam at Hoppy Kercheval. Text your steam, 304-TALK-304. 304-TALK-304 to text your steam. Hi, Tom. First up, what's your steam?
Hey, good morning, Hop.
Yes.
Hey, Black Friday, that kind of sounds like it has an ominous name to it, whatever. But anyway, remember back when President Bush was in office and the liberals were all the time whining about him taking a vacation and so forth, even when he went to his home in Texas? You know, they may have had something to that. But where's all the outrage for President Obama and all his trips he's taken? According to Judicial Watch, for 3 trips this year, that he's cost the taxpayers over $3.1 million. One trip to Palm Springs for a golf outing was over $2.1 million in itself, and another up to Martha's Vineyard, $1 million for a golf outing and the hobnob with President Clinton. Where's the outrage on this, Democrats?
Got it, Tom. Tom got his steam on. He'll have a good weekend. Hi, Robert. What's your steam?
Good morning, Hop.
Good morning.
I hope you had a good Turkey Day yesterday.
I did.
First of all, the Ohio drivers being number one, I agree. If it's driving in the fast lane, 60 miles on a 70-mile-an-hour interstate, they're number one at that for sure. And another thing, how long before Black Friday becomes offensive and we have to change it to just Friday?
Microaggression. Got it, Robert. 1-800-765-8255. Hi, David. What's your steam?
Yeah, I'm just wondering how long it's going to take the American people to wake up and realize what a fraud Hillary Clinton is. The woman deserves no respect from anyone. Any woman that would allow her husband to do the kind of stuff that she did, and now with the crimes that she's committed as far as the email servers, Benghazi and all that, you know, they keep defending her all the time, but yet the proof is out there of what kind of woman she is, and people want to elect her as president? That's as bad as Obama. That's all I got to say.
All right, you'll have a good weekend. You can, too, if you get your steam on at 1-800-765-8255. 1-800-765-TALK. Email your steam, talkline at wvmetronews.com. Text your steam, 304-TALK-304. Tweet your steam at Hoppy Kercheval. Text steam. This is from Don. Hoppy, my steam is people who cry about the breakdown of society, and they're looking at it all wrong. I've never heard of a society standing before a judge charged with a specific crime. There is no we as a society, as the liberals are so fond of saying. Society is made up of individuals, and some individuals don't want to be reminded that there are consequences to their actions. Case in point, the 2012 Democratic Convention, when they literally booed God not once but twice. That sums up perfectly the Democrats' pride. And we all know what the Bible says about the consequences of pride, says Don in his steam. You can text your steam at 304. You can tweet your steam at Hoppy Kercheval. Tweet steam. If it's not if an attack will happen on U.S. soil, it's when. Good citizens should be on constant watch and armed to defend. Email on the Don Blankenship case from Option Trader. Hoppy, I'm a mining engineer, former chairman and CEO of a 1,500-employee coal mining enterprise. In my humble opinion, Blankenship is not guilty of the crimes charged with. His crime, at best, was not having the underground experience to judge the serious nature of noncompliance within Massey. Mary says, in response to that, I agree with Option on your opinion on MSHA, Mine Safety Health Administration. They let all the big violations go and write up the little stuff. They are the responsible party for a lot of mining accidents. They had pictures of men going underground illegally and swept it under the rug. I know, I worked there, says Mary. Let's go to Myra. Hi, Myra. Welcome to Steam Release. What's your steam?
Yes, I just don't understand why people that earned their Social Security haven't got a raise, I think, once in 7 years since Obama's been there. I don't know if they're going to get it this year, but it's okay to bring other people in and give them benefits. I think charity starts at home. He should take care of what he's got here.
You got it. Steam Release and tweet from Mountaineer. Hoppy, these misguided liberal haters and greedy nerds continue to scream at Obama and Hillary like howling dogs. We'll take a break and come back. More Steam Release coming up. Get your steam on at 1-800-765-8255. Email talkline at wvmetronews.com. Tweet your steam at Hoppy Kercheval. Text your steam 304-TALK-304. Email Steam. Hoppy, could you send me that driving study? You mentioned it on Talkline. Oh, wait a minute. That's not an email Steam. That's Jeff Jenkins asking for something. Keith says we cannot. Well, I'm trying to. I have info coming in from 4 or 5 sources. I thought Jenkins had forwarded me something. Keith says we cannot afford the Syrian refugees. Your take at 1-800-765-8255. Email Talkline at wvmetronews.com. Tweet me at Hoppy Kercheval. Text me 304-TALK-304. Your take maybe on the Blankenship trial. We got a bunch of steam on that from comments that have been posted. You're next after this.
The event you've been waiting for is here. The Northside Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Truck Black Friday Blockbuster Sales Event. Northside's pulling out all the stops with huge incentives and ultra-low percentage rates. Buy any 2015 Ram 1500 truck and get 0% financing for 75 months and up to $4,000 in rebates. Yes, I said $4,000 in rebates. Heard in Northside Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Trucks, your central West Virginia destination for savings, or visit on the web at northsidewv.com.
Hello, I'm your neighbor.
Your sister.
Your son.
Your granddaughter.
I was broken, hungry,
helpless and hopeless.
Catholic Charities reached out to me in hope, faith, and love. They were there in my time of need, and they'll be there for you.
No matter how old or young you are, Catholic Charities of West Virginia offers hope, help, and love for all ages. Visit CatholicCharitiesWV.org and find your hope today. Catholic Charities West Virginia is an equal opportunity employer and service provider. Imagine a scale, and you're trying to balance it. Too much on one side, and it sinks, just like our state's economy. When jobs are centered on 1 or 2 industries, the balance is off, our economy sinks, and good-paying jobs disappear. West Virginia needs a variety of industries, including fossil fuels, small business, and high-tech jobs to bring balance. The High Technology Foundation works to bring those high-tech jobs here. Ask your legislator if they're helping the High Technology Foundation bring balance to our economy. From the West Virginia High Technology Foundation. Would you go to a dentist for joint replacement surgery?
No.
Would you go to the barber shop to get your prescription filled?
Goodness, no.
Would you ask your preacher for advice on how to fix your toilet?
Of course not.
Then why would you trust some guy down the street who gives you the cheapest bid to remodel, repair, or even build your home? You need a licensed professional contractor who knows what they're doing. It's your home. You have to live there. Why settle for anything less than the best?
Your dreams built by the best. Contact the Home Builders Association of West Virginia for a list of professionals in your area. Go to hbawv.org today. This message brought to you by our marketing partners, Lowe's of North Central West Virginia, Brick Street, 84 Lumber, Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh, ProBuild, SJ Neathawk, Valcon, Windcor, and West Virginia Housing Development Fund. Your dreams built by the best. The Home Builders Association of West Virginia. Go to hbawv.org today.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
Talkline on MetroNews. Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank member, FDIC. The Marion County Historical Society will open their doors for holiday historic home tours starting tomorrow. Many of the homes will be decorated for the holidays. They'll have live music and refreshments. The homes on the tour include the former Marion County Sheriff's Home, others dating back to the 1840s. For more holiday history, the website is go2wv.com. Go2wv.com or call 800-225-5982. 800-225-5982 or the website is go2wv.com. Marion County Holiday Historic Homes Tour starts tomorrow. 1-800-765-8255. Email your steam, talkline at wvmetronews.com. Tweet your steam at Hoppy Kercheval. Text your steam, 304-TALK-304. Get back to steam release in a moment. I did not get a chance to, I had this in the stack today, just ran out of time. But this is interesting. It comes from carinsurancecomparison.com, worst drivers in 2015. It has all 50 states ranked, and they look at the categories: fatality rate per 1 million vehicle miles, failure to obey traffic signals, drunk driving, speeding, careless driving, total score. So I said, okay, we'll check out West Virginia. So West Virginia, and the higher the number, the better you are, according to this. So the higher the number, the better you are, 1 through 50. The higher, the better. And West Virginia had a number 2 for fatality rate per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, and that's bad, because that's bad. The higher the number, the better. And then, I'll just skip to the overall, because all of our numbers were bad according to this. Overall, West Virginia's number was 13. And 13 would be bad because 50 would be the best and 1 would be the worst, because the higher the number, the worse it is. So the overall rank, West Virginia got a number 13, which is in the almost the bottom fourth. All our surrounding states were better. And yes, Ohio, I looked it up. This is just one source. This is just the carinsurancecomparison.com website. I know how some of you feel about this. Ohio had the best score. Ohio had the score of 50, which is the best. West Virginia, 13, which is not good. West Virginia motorists everywhere outraged by that. Email Steam Hoppy, there were a lot of people responsible for UBB. You can't put it all on Blankenship. Let's go to Richard. Hi, Richard. What's your steam?
There is one talk show host by the name of John Blackwell who consistently says, I should have went. And there's another one by the name of David Bloomquist who says, I should have gave and I should have went. Now, I can't understand how somebody, I think it sounds bad as a talk show host to say that, but if you go through high school, I know that when I went, I would have never made it through high school by saying that. And I think the teachers need to be examined, or somebody does, for using that kind of grammar on the radio, just saying that you ought to know better than that. And I think the kids listening, that's just not a good thing to be talking like that.
Thank you for the steam. The steam is on bad grammar. What's your steam at 1-800-765-8255. Email talkline at wvmetronews.com. Tweet your steam at Hoppy Kercheval. Text your steam 304-TALK-304. Melvin on the Blankenship case. Hoppy, they may not be able to prove this, but he is as guilty as sin itself. 80% of the people who worked for him knew this, but I have to say there are many more just like him. Maybe they learned it from him. Steam release comments on Don Blankenship and the trial. Robert says, from what I've read, the prosecution did nothing to prove his guilt. Either they don't have it or it wasn't there. I hope people aren't too upset if he's found not guilty. Rick says, I was once told to always ask for a jury trial if I was guilty, and we're seeing why. Society's gotten so ignorant, the time has come for professional jurors. Bernie says, pertaining to their questions about definitions of specific words, how about putting a Webster's dictionary in the jury room? Susan says, several possible scenarios in the Blankenship case. A, the jurors aren't too smart and they don't understand the meaning or definition of condone and strive. B, They're being very diligent and thorough, which I highly doubt since they were whining about being unable to reach a decision after only 8 hours of deliberation. C, they're looking for a loophole they can use to justify a not guilty verdict. Eric says the jury's hung. They have an intransigent member that will not deliberate. Bill says, isn't that the duty of each juror to stand by the decision they reach and not go along to get along? 1-800-765-8255. Email talkline at wvmetronews.com. Tweet your steam at Hoppy Kercheval. Text your steam 304-TALK-304. Hi, Rick. What's your steam?
I want to talk about the Charleston newspapers that are always reaching back to find out somebody's historical past. Well, recently, former delegate Doug Scaff was mentioned in the paper about an incident that happened. I want to reach back and talk about all the good that Doug Scaff and his wife have done, including finding a children's cancer program here in the Kanawha Valley. Doug Scaff has also gotten involved in numerous and various activities that he did not have to do that were very good. Paper never mentions these programs such as Sojourners fundraisers for the homeless and needy. And he is a very good person, and I would like to see his name placed in the good limelight with the people in the newspapers from now on, too. All the good he's done. Thank you.
You got it, Rick. You got your steam on. Email steam from Joan Hoppy, West Virginians wreck, trying to avoid Ohio drivers. Email steam from Carl Hoppy, the Kanawha County Schools. Strengthen lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual employee policy is a major step to allowing a bearded man in a dress to teach kindergarten students. If you think I exaggerate, let's hear your argument to debunk my statement, says Carl. More steam release coming up at 1-800-765-8255. Email your steam talkline at wvmetronews.com. Tweet your steam at Hoppy Kercheval.
West Virginia has balanced its budget on the back of the coal industry ever since we became a state 150 years ago. Historically, the coal industry and coal-fired electric utilities have accounted for over 60% of all business taxes, while high-energy wages contribute a disproportionate share of income taxes, and coal severance dollars sustain important programs in all counties. All told, the industry infuses over $26 billion to our state's economy. Coal alone has paid down nearly $1 billion of the state's workers' compensation debt. Consequently, all state businesses have experienced major reductions in workers' comp benefits. The coal industry has always supported our people and our economy, but it's under attack from the Obama administration and the EPA. It's fighting to survive. Coal taxes in West Virginia are higher than our surrounding states. We're losing coal markets to our neighbors. Let's get our mines and coal miners working again. Support a reduced tax rate for mining, paid for by West Virginia Coal Association.
Hello, I'm your neighbor.
Your sister.
Your son.
Your granddaughter.
I was broken, hungry.
Helpless and hopeless.
Catholic Charities reached out to me in hope, faith, and love. They were there in my time of need, and they'll be there for you.
No matter how old or young you are, Catholic Charities of West Virginia offers hope, help, and love for all ages. Visit CatholicCharitiesWV.org and find your hope today. Catholic Charities West Virginia is an equal opportunity employer and service provider.
The Metro News channel at wvmetronews.com brings you round 2 of the NCAA Division II playoffs. Shepherd hosts IUP this Saturday at 12 noon. Let's go, boys! Tune in as Travis Jones and Carl Lee bring you the sights and sounds of championship football. Don't miss a minute of the action with the live video stream starting Saturday at noon. That's it! Only on the Metro News channel at wvmetronews.com.
There it is! There it is! Go!
We're in the spirit of giving at MVB Bank this year, and our gift to you includes awesome CD products at great rates, like our 58-month 2.12 annual percentage yield CD. You can start saving today with a minimum deposit of just $1,000. Hurry in now and avoid the holiday rush. This is a present that keeps on earning year after year. MVB Bank, your financial life made easy. Member FDIC. Visit us at mvbbanking.com.
This is Talkline on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
There. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Hunter's got game. If you do, there are 3 ways to check it in by phone. 844-WV-CHECK. Online, log on to WVHunt.com. In person, stop by a hunting or fishing license agent. You'll need to know your permanent DNR ID number. And when you check your game, you'll be given a 13-digit confirmation number to write on your field tags. That's simple. If you need an ID number, go to WVHunt.com, WVHunt.com. Here in West Virginia, 2 great jackpot games you can play from the West Virginia Lottery. Powerball has drawings on Wednesdays and Saturdays, Mega Millions on Tuesdays and Fridays. The Powerball jackpot is $100 million. The Mega Millions jackpot, $31 million. Please play responsibly. Email Steam from Eric. Happy another Friday, and you are still way too liberal, says Eric, who got his steam on. Have a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock for coverage, 9 hours of game day coverage for West Virginia and Iowa State. I'm Hoppy Kercheval. This has been Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.